Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on After GMS. We can't wait to chat with you in just a few minutes. Of course, it is an important day in our area with early voting beginning this morning. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. First, some introductions. How about that? I'm Tracy McCain along with Megan Malaris in the studio. Stacey Spivey is working from home, and we have our Ed Matthews keeping an eye on the forecast in the weather garden.
Yeah, Ed, that Greensboro sky camera looks quite foggy. Hard to see the Lincoln Financial Building.
Yeah, thankfully those clouds don't go all the way to the ground, so visibilities are only slightly reduced, but the cloud base is several hundred feet above the ground. Having said that, it's just plain cloudy. Boy, that was an explanation, wasn't it? But anyway, no sun this morning. I'm hoping for a little sun as we head through the day, but with the approach of a cold front, I wouldn't expect a lot of sunshine, and that will have an impact on highs, but I still think we can make it into the low and mid 70s today. A few showers after midnight tonight and a few showers on Friday as that front moves through, but I wouldn't expect a lot in the way of rain, maybe a quarter of an inch of rain or so with the front moving through. But the bigger weather story is behind the front, drier and just downright chilly air for the weekend. Plenty of sunshine Saturday and Sunday. We'll be up around 60 on Saturday, low and mid 60s on Sunday at night. You'll really feel the chill as temperatures fall to near 40 both on Saturday and Sunday morning.
All right, back to our big story this morning. The presidential election just 19 days away, and already millions of Americans are heading to the polls.
Yeah, starting today, voters in North Carolina can cast their ballots in person during the early voting period. WFMI News' Candace Redd is live in Greensboro, where polls open in just less than 15 minutes. Good morning, Candace.
Megan, Tracy, good morning to you both. Well, we're coming to you live from the Craft Recreation Center on Yanceyville Street in Greensboro. It's one of 25 voting precincts in Guilford County. And since today is the first day of early voting in North Carolina, you can expect long lines at the polls. Check it out for yourself. Now, some voters have been waiting for about 2 hours for the doors to open at 8 a.m. at this polling location. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, voting precincts are strongly encouraging the use of face masks, hand sanitizer, and social distancing, which you can see right now for yourself. Now, according to the U.S. Elections Project, more than 13 million Americans have already voted in the reporting states. More voters are expected to head to the polls across the country in the coming weeks. Now, in Guilford County, the Board of Elections says this year's voter turnout will most likely surpass the 71 percentage point seen in 2016. Well, the first and last days of early voting are typically the busiest days to vote. Now, if you're not registered to vote, you can register at a voting site during the 17-day early voting period. Now, after registering, you can immediately vote at that same site. Now, this process is called same-day registration. The state board is reminding all voters to respect the rights of others to participate in the election. Intimidating any voter is a crime, and voters who feel harassed or intimidated should notify an election official immediately. Now remember, a photo ID is not required to vote. The early voting period runs from October 15th to October 31st. The polls are open Mondays through Fridays from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Polls are also open on weekends from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The last day for early voting is on Halloween. That's from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. For more details, visit our website, WFMYnews2.com.
Just looking at that line of people, you can see, one, that there are people who are already there ready to walk into the polling location, but some people in their scrubs, either getting ready to go to work or getting off of a shift, so maybe on a lunch break or breakfast break, whatever their hours or their shift is. So there's a lot of interest in this year's election as we are just now in the first day of early voting in our state. All right, so we want to know and hear from you as you go to and from the polls to early vote. Stacey, how can people find out, or how can we find out what they're seeing from now until Election Day?
Well, it's really simple, Tracy. All people have to do is text us that number you Pictures of the lines while you're waiting, and even a selfie from outside of your polling location. Do not take those pictures when you are inside, though. It is illegal to take pictures or videos while voting. Now, this law is to prevent proof of voting being used in any vote buying schemes. And if you do get an I voted sticker, because not all locations are handing them out, we want to see pictures of those too. They may be in short supply this year because election officials say that they'll have sticker distributors some places due to the pandemic. So let us know if you're planning to early vote. Some people already saying that that's their plan, and you could see those lines out there that Candace was showing us, that people are already showing up. So if you're out there, if you're planning to go out there today, please send us a photo. Again, outside, not inside.
The good news about the early voting period is that it is 2 weeks long. So starting today, ending October 31st. So there's time, and you can pick whatever time is best for you. If today isn't going to work, you know, you have a weekend ahead of you, and then the following week, and then the week after that. My husband and I plan to early vote within the next 2 weeks because Election Day, we're always busy here at the studio. So that's just kind of our tradition. But yeah, we definitely want to hear from you. And as you were mentioning, Stacey, a lot of people are saying, you know, they are planning to early vote. Maybe not today because of those lines, but definitely going to get out there.
Yeah, I usually vote early as well. As you know, we are super busy on Election Day as journalists, of course. Normally I go in person to early vote, but this year did an absentee ballot for convenience purposes. And I have to say, I really like the experience, being able to fully research each candidate and go back to my notes on certain folks and look at those as a reference when I was filling out my ballot. So I felt like I made informed, prepared decisions because of that research I was able to do. But again, that's just my experience. I know there are many options for folks. And Stacey, there is a question from Joanne. I believe you addressed in one of your segments this week for To Be Counted. She wants to know, are people who have a disability able to vote from their cars if they're not able to wait in line? I believe Charlie Collicutt with Guilford Board of Elections said the answer to that is yes, right?
I'd have to do some more research and look back at what I've been doing, but I know that they have been making it very easy for people that have disabilities to be able to vote. They have put a team together they're calling the Multi-Partisan Assistance Team that can help people vote in any way. I'm pretty sure that one of them is that people can vote in their car. That MAT team can come out there and help them. But let me do some research really quick and get back to you on that.
That sounds good. Yeah, lots of options. Ed Matthews, as Tracy mentioned, we are always kind of wall-to-wall coverage on Election Day. Do you have a preferred means of voting?
Oh, yes. I always do early voting. I've been doing that for years, and it is very, very convenient. In terms of the lines, I think the first several days of early voting, we're going to have long lines, but I'm hoping by the middle of the 2 week period, things will kind of quieten down just a little bit. So I think at the beginning, i.e. today and the next few days, and the final few days of early voting is when we're going to see the longest lines. And, you know, just be patient, you know, being in line. We want everybody, all of our American citizens, to have an opportunity to vote. So a heavy turnout, I think, is fantastic. I think it's great.
And we know, Ed, by research, we know weather can interpret, you know, the turnout at the polls, and it has in years past, not necessarily with a presidential election when there's so many things on the ticket, but, you know, the weather today is absolutely gorgeous. And so, you know, as it turns colder and maybe that could be rainy at any point, you know, I think there's a lot of attention to it today because one, it's going to be nice, and two, it's the first day. So you put those things together and it's an exciting day for people who want to vote.
Yeah, absolutely. And we looked at the numbers today as we reported on the Good Morning Show. The Board of Elections, the State Board of Elections, sends out a daily absentee ballot report. And we know as of today, more than 500,000 North Carolina voters have already submitted their absentee ballots. That's compared to just fewer than 50,000 at this point in 2016, 4 years ago, another presidential election. So, you know, there is definitely this interest. We'll see if there is this continued interest in continuing to vote up until Election Day, or if there was just this initial rush and then there's going to be a lull perhaps until November 3rd. We'll have to see, but there is definitely kind of this fire, I think, in everybody to make sure that their voices are heard this election.
All right, well, this is, of course, the big story of today. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm sure you'll hear more and more about early voting. And if you have a question, again, make sure you text the word early to 336-379-5775. I know we're having some tech problems when Stacey first gave out that number. If you text that number and text the word early, we'll send you a link back with all the information about voting, polling, locations, times, and what you need to know about each ballot. So there's a lot of information on our website, and we'll be happy to share that with you.
All right now let's get a look at our headlines this morning. Some Guilford County school students will have to wait a bit longer to return to their school buildings. Yesterday, school leaders updated the district's reentry plan due to rising COVID-19 trends in Guilford County. So pre-K through second grade will go back on Tuesday as initially planned, but the rest of the reentry process is delayed. Grades 3 through 5 will return full-time, but could go back in early November. Middle schoolers could return part-time on November 12th. Guilford County school leaders say they are looking at several factors to determine reentry, like the number of cases, percent positive, and number of hospital patients. The state health department reported just over more than 10,000 confirmed cases in Guilford County. On average, in the past week, more than 100 new cases are reported each day. The county's percent positive rate is currently 5.9%.
Well, tonight's scheduled debate between President Donald Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is canceled. Instead, the two will hold separate televised town hall meetings. President Donald Trump refusing to take part in a virtual debate a few weeks ago after contracting coronavirus, but they are both still set to debate in person next Thursday in Nashville. The Senate Judiciary Committee wrapped up 2 days of questioning Supreme Court nominee Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Today, the final day of the nomination hearings will take place, and a committee vote on her nomination is scheduled this week. Democrats are expected to request a hold, which would push that vote until next week.
Let's get to our next talker this morning. Have you been to the Blue Ridge Parkway this month? It's breathtaking. Stacey, it seems like now is the time to go before we miss it.
Oh yeah, we are approaching peak leaf peeping season according to our team of meteorologists. Go ahead and take a look at this video from the WFMY Redbird 2 drone team. You can see just how gorgeous these colors are right now. With those fall-like temperatures ahead this weekend, you can expect to see a lot of people up there checking out the leaves. And the colorful backdrop was the perfect setting for a wedding. Look at these photos from Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley, who just happened to stumble upon a small wedding atop of a mountain. The group put up a sign saying the ceremony would only take about 20 minutes and anyone was invited to watch as long as they stay quiet. I'm sure that bride is going to have the most fantastic, beautiful, gorgeous photos that any bride could have. I mean, that backdrop is just so perfect.
Yeah, if I had a backdrop like that, I'd have to use like a green screen and it would have to be, superimposed behind me. I'm just not a very adventurous person. I love to look at pictures of beautiful views. I don't like to experience them because I'm just a scaredy cat. Although I'm having a conversation with Jason and Nadine about Gremlins, the movie, which is one of my favorites. But that kind of scare is different from high views. I don't know what it is. I like to stay on the ground, at level on the ground.
Yeah, see, I love hiking and we always go on these big adventurous hikes, but I am always that person who is like, wait, you're getting too close to the edge. Come back from there. I do not like when people post pictures of them doing seemingly dangerous things too close to the edge of cliffs. I've seen that on Hanging Rock State Park, for example. Yeah, not a good idea if safety is jeopardized, of course. But this bride looked like they were far enough back from the edge where it was okay. And what a beautiful wedding. But Ed Matthews, speaking of leaf peeping season, it seems like now is peak time in the mountains, and then the Triad's going to see some vibrant colors.
Yes, in a couple of weeks here locally, but yeah, right at the peak in the Blue Ridge now. And the weekend's going to be fantastic weather, dry weather for going. So if you think, should I do a little road trip this weekend? Go for it. I think it's going to be great. And I have not been up to the Blue Ridge this season, but I have seen some absolutely gorgeous photos from our beautiful North Carolina mountains.
Jason says that's a tongue twister. Peak leaf peeping season. Say that 5 times fast.
Yes, it is. I'm surprised I got it out the right way.
And that's exactly why I said fall colors instead of the other one, fall foliage. It just doesn't roll off
That is
the
a
tongue.
hard word.
Yes, the beautiful fall colors.
Oh my goodness. Stacy, are folks thinking about those road trips? Are they heading to the mountains anytime soon?
Let's see. Bobby says he hasn't gone yet, but he thinks he may go Sunday and check it out before it's too late. David said Asheville, North Carolina is my hometown. I hear that's the place to go. Let's see what else. Lisa says I want to go so badly. It's beautiful. And David said hello from South Florida. They put a lot of beach emojis. You're in Florida? Hey.
Watching us from the sand and sun, I'm sure.
So earlier, Ed Matthews, I said, if you want 70s every day of the week, you're not going to find it here. And you said you had to move to
Florida!
And now we have someone from Florida on the feed. Kind of cool.
If you're looking for leaves that are green on a palm tree, you can find them in Florida. No change of the colors there much in the state of Florida. Although I'll have to say, Florida is an absolutely gorgeous state.
Yeah, I have 2 brothers who live there, and it's just warm and humid all year round. So I think I could deal with the warm temperatures. The humidity, that would get a little bit old after a while, I think.
So what are we expecting for today and the rest of the week?
Well, you know, it looks really gray this morning. We had some low clouds to move in, but I'm already seeing some peaks of sunshine through the clouds. I think overall kind of a mix of sun and clouds. Not a bright sunny day. I don't think that's going to happen, but we should see enough sunshine to get us into the low and mid 70s. No rain today. It's going to stay dry, and then later tonight after midnight we'll run the risk of a few showers, and that'll be the case on Friday. We don't see a lot of measurable rain, just more nuisance kind of off and on showers. May yield upwards of 1/4 of an inch of rain or so, and temperatures noticeably cooler tomorrow, only in the low and mid 60s. Weekend, if you want to go sightseeing around and look at the gorgeous foliage across the area and up in the Blue Ridge, it's going to be a wonderful dry weekend, and it is definitely going to feel like fall. 60 the high on Saturday. That's with a full day of sunshine. Sunday up about 64, and it'll be a little frosty in the morning. Temperatures near 40, some of the usual colder spots, maybe even some upper 30s. But overall, the upcoming weekend's looking great.
Yeah, great and cold.
Yes.
And it's so funny, we were going to try to get in one last lake trip this weekend, and I told my husband, like, there's no way I'm going anywhere except for my warm bed this weekend. It's just too cold to be anywhere.
Yeah, Ed Matthews, you said you might need a jacket, and we know that by your standards, when you need a jacket, the rest of us need our full winter parkas.
That's right. And you know, I mentioned if you're going to the North Carolina mountains this weekend, you know, every time you go up into the higher elevation, it's much colder. So some of those higher elevations probably in the 40s and 50s. For highs today. Yeah, it gets colder up there in that Blue Ridge.
All right, well, we'll all be wearing thick sweaters tomorrow morning, that's for sure. I'll be wearing a jacket, but I said thick sweater for you. All right, thanks so much for joining us on After GMS. We've had a great time talking with you today, and we'll have more conversations set up for you tomorrow. Take care, everybody, and be safe.